Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the July edition of the National At-Home Dad Network's webinar series. We are here today with Darren Carter of Carter's BBQ in Cleveland, Ohio. I don't know if everybody's aware, but July is official grilling month in America, and we won't get into we'll get into the differences between grilling and barbecue down the road because they're two very, very different things. But I know that grilling and barbecue is certainly something that is near and dear to my heart. And I know it's certainly near and dear to Darren's. Now, as you can see from the picture behind me, I'm in North Carolina where whole hog is king.
Yes, sir.
You know, around here, when you start doing pieces, parts, people look at you funny. But we do a lot of whole hog barbecue here. I know that you've got a project that you've been working with on Instagram, which is the Unknown Black Pitmasters, which I think is absolutely brilliant. I know most of the pitmasters here in North Carolina are African American in general. But mostly we just wanted to bring you on and have somebody that actually knows what they're doing. Come and talk to us.
Well, that could be debated, but thanks.
So why don't we talk a little bit? So how are things going with your restaurant there in Cleveland?
It is. Today was. Look, I gotta tell you, people. We supposed to start at 7. We started a little late. Sorry, I was asleep. Okay. I've been to the fire department twice today in Cleveland. Been ripping and running, trying to get the kids out the house. With the trailer, there's many different licenses you have to get. You know, first of all, you got to get your license just to be able to sell within the state from your county. Then you need most food trucks need to get licensed from the fire department. Generally, most suburbs, depending on how big they are, will take Cleveland's fire sticker. Because you just can't go in a city and set up your food trailer or truck and just be like, I want to sell today. That's a no-no. More so because of the propane that's on these trailers and trucks, which I don't have but still need. All I have is a smoker on the back of my truck. And seeing only how I just got that, even though I had my trailer since about middle of February, maybe late February. I've just now gotten my smoker. Shout out to CNS Ironworks, Metalworks here in Cleveland. Actually, a gentleman who works, he's a 979 union member, Steelworkers union member. I had to put out an APB. I know I'm kind of going around here, but I had to put out an APB because the first gentleman who was supposed to make my smoker, for whatever reason, ghosted me. So I was stuck, and thankfully he stepped up to the plate. And if you ever see my IG on, at Carter's BBQ 216, you'll see the beast that it is sitting on my trailer. So I couldn't get certain licenses or certain stickers or permits until all the pieces were in place. So today, this is my third time going downtown to, mind you, I have to leave my house, go 15 to 20 minutes to pick up my trailer because I can't keep my trailer in my house. I had to keep it in storage. Mm-hmm. Go downtown from, further east than what I am, which is about maybe half an hour, 35 minutes or so. So I've been there, done that 3 times already. It's the third time that I finally got the sticker, that we got everything together.
Well, third time's a charm, right?
Third time was a charm. So that being said, we had to slow creep things. I only could do certain pop-ups like in our church parking lots where I did most of my pop-ups to begin with. I really couldn't expand because I didn't have the proper, if I was on a private property, it didn't really matter,
Yeah.
Out in public and doing some different things, I really couldn't expand our wings yet until we get these pieces and parts together. And that was the real last part I needed. Now I can go wherever I want to. Now, I have to check in with the cities where I go because they may want me to check with their fire department, or they just want to see my sticker, or they just, you have a cost or something like that. But that is the final major hurdle that we have. But to this point, we've been good, man. We have been good, thankfully. People are coming. The word is getting out. We have an event this weekend, and actually in the city where I live in Euclid, the suburb of Euclid, and they have their first food truck park type thing. So
Nice.
looking forward to that. I think that'll give us some great exposure. Um, Another suburb for a week from now called, Shaker Heights. They're doing a dog days of Shaker. It's a big dog thing. So we'll be there as well. So hopefully these two big things start to really kick us off and get us more noticed. So
And
this is it.
you said the magic word earlier when you said that you don't actually have any propane on your truck. So that tells me you're doing old school. You're doing straight up charcoal and wood.
Yeah, yeah. Straight woods, charcoal to light it, just to get a
Right.
chimney worth of charcoal to light it, and put the woods right on the wood right on the coals. Now, with food trucks, a lot of people use propane for some. There are some propane grills, even real huge ones that you could use. But for fryers and the griddle and stuff, and I have none of that in my truck because
Right.
I'm not frying any chicken. I'm not frying no French fries. I'm not doing, one of Cleveland staples in barbecue joints is a Polish boy. Um,
Now you
and
got
that
to
can,
help me out. I lived in Pittsburgh for a little while, so I know a little bit about Ohio, but I haven't had that
yeah.
one before.
Cleveland is synonymous for Polish boys, and it's basically a beef Polish sausage, generally fried and or grilled, but generally fried. And it's covered with French fries. So I don't, but a lot of people like to put coleslaw on top of it, a barbecue sauce.
Hmm.
And that I'm telling you, you ain't, Cleveland has
There's nothing
pierogies.
you said that makes me mad.
Yeah, it has pierogies, but it also has Polish boys, and that is a staple, especially in black barbecue neighborhoods here in Cleveland. But you need those other type of appliances for that, and that's not what I do. You give me some pork butt, brisket, ribs. I do barbecue.
Now, what are
So
you
I don't
doing?
do more. Yeah,
What are you doing for sides? I mean, because again, I'm from that classic Southern barbecue where you get like meat and two
we
or
do it.
meat and three.
Yeah, we had three. You got to charge more for it
Well,
too.
yeah,
You
you
get
got to pay extra for the three, and if it's and again, I can only speak. I came up in New Orleans, and you always knew that you were at the best barbecue joint in town if
mhm.
there was a piece of white bread next to it, not a bun, not a roll, just straight out of the bag, white bread on your plate. You knew that they didn't care about the bread; they were worried about making that barbecue right.
Pretty much. That's kind of pretty much how it is. We do baked beans, smoked baked beans, barbecue baked beans, green beans, mac and cheese, coleslaw. Those are our four staples right now. Um, that when you get a dinner or whatever, you can get those, which I think obviously is very delicious.
Oh
My
yeah.
wife does those, and I no complaints whatsoever.
Oh,
You know.
good, good. Now, when we titled this, we titled it "Grilling and Barbecue" because July is National Grilling Month. Um, and there's whole lot of people in this country who'll step outside and be like, "Hey, we're going to barbecue this weekend," and you walk out and they've got their Weber, if we're lucky, with some charcoal in it, or they've got their little propane grill fired up, and they throw like hot dogs and hamburgers on there and say that they're barbecuing.
I
Now,
mean,
how do you define barbecue?
well, barbecue to me is what I have learned to recently learned and over the time is what my ancestors did. It is the low and slow cooking of huge cuts of meat over a long period of time. To me, that's barbecue, smoking meat. Um, Grilling is anything you do hot and fast. You know what I'm saying? That's like direct over the coals. Um, so yeah, when you come in to do hot dogs and chicken and things like that and smaller pieces of meats, you would never grill a brisket. If you did, it would never turn out right. You know what I'm saying? You
Could do it, but I
never
wouldn't
would
want to
grill
try
a
to
pig.
chew it.
No, no. So that to me was, I mean, that is to me my distinction. Something that is a smaller cut that you're doing specifically right over hot coals, right over them, not elevated or anything. And then barbecue is that slow, methodical smoke, over coals, whether they're charcoal or wood, coals broken down, but at an elevated level and at a lower heat level for a longer period of time. So that's how I would say do that.
I will admit my sin. There was a time when I was able to take the time and dedication to do classic barbecue, to turn
Mhm.
around, make a wood fire, use, that kind of smoke and the rest of it. My oldest just turned 8. My youngest just turned 5. So I haven't had the spare time to mind a fire for at least the last 8 years, and I cheat. I've got a high-end digital electric smoker at home. I don't know if you're familiar with the little Smokette. It is not an inexpensive one. It does a really good job. It is like the microwave of smoking.
Mhm.
I put my wood chips in a little tray at the bottom and say, I want you to hold at 215, and I'm going to go to sleep now, and I'll come back in 14 hours and pull
Yeah,
out a perfectly done pastrami. Which for what it is wonderful. There are certain things that I cannot get with it, though. I can't get a smoke ring.
yeah.
An
I,
electric
I
smoker will not give you that smoke ring, and every time I slice that brisket and look at it, I'm like, you cheated. You cheated, man.
okay. So I'm not an electric guy or a pellet guy or like okay for me like these um the new pellets that are on the market now. They're for me they're like Mercedes. Mercedes is a nice car. I wouldn't buy one, but if you gave me one, yeah, I'd probably drive it. You know what I'm saying? Um, and pellets are like that too. Like the electric, they're, they're very they're very. I can't. Okay, here's my thing. So pellet people beware. Okay,
Hmm.
I don't fault anybody for pellets. Okay, because I understand a lot of people want the convenience of barbecue of the like the final polished product of barbecue. Um, but they don't like yourself with electric. I mean, it's not the time. It's my business, so I got to make it the time. You know what I'm
Oh
saying? When
yeah,
I'm not
yeah,
doing,
no, absolutely.
it's I get that, and you want to do, and you can cook some great barbecue on those machines. Um, just don't come to me puffing out your chest like you've invented a great thing. That's all I'm saying.
Oh
You
yeah,
know what
no,
I mean?
no. Again, I
That's
don't even pretend. I don't even pretend that I can stand next to the guys who have spent 10 and 12 hours
you
maintaining
get
temperature on a wood burning fire. That is an entire skill set in and of itself.
you got people. Yeah, I just cooked this brisket. I did it 12 hours, dude. You were asleep. I mean, you were asleep, and I'm sure it came out good because I
Oh
mean,
yeah.
if you continue to the one thing about I mean, just like on any grill, it needs maintenance, but especially those pellet grills, you got to clean them out. You got to make sure, or they will explode on you. I mean, it's been known to do that. Um,
Grease
just
fires are real, especially if you're cooking fatty cuts like brisket or pork shoulder.
it's just don't come to me like I'm supposed to be in. Not that I'm saying I'm not the. I don't want people to get the wrong thing, but I mean, just or come to anybody and like that's supposed to be an impressive thing. But you were asleep, dude. I mean, you were asleep.
No, no, I
I
get it.
I did the same thing, and you had to tend the fire, do it, spritz. Some people spritz, some people don't. Wrap it, go around. So there's always to a craft. There's always to a craft an easy way. And I don't want to say it easy. I just want to call it convenient. For
Yeah.
example, I used to be, I used to call myself a graphic designer, just like people call themselves pitmasters when I got Adobe Photoshop. Okay, no degree in graphic design. no thought process or education in the arts, nothing. I manipulated objects to put on the flyer, is what I did. I was a great manipulator of objects. But for me to truly call myself a graphic designer, I mean, I was an imposter. You know what I mean?
I
And
mean,
I took advantage of what was made it convenient to the craft. Now, only certain people could have Photoshop in a day or have a type um, of a program to help you do the things that people went to school for and did their lives, had their
mhm.
lives work. Now I'm coming undercutting you in cost because I can make a business card for cheaper because I don't have the experience that you. You see what I'm saying?
Oh yeah,
So it's every craft that has it, and that barbecue is no different. Barbecue is no different.
yeah. Well, I mean, I spent before I became a stay-at-home dad, I spent 25 years as a chef.
Hmm.
And you know the
Oh,
fact. Well, let me rephrase that. I spent 25 years cooking for a living. I probably spent about 5 years as a chef and about 20 years as a damn good cook. But the reality is, you can have the title all you want. When you're cooking somebody else's recipes, you're not a chef.
pretty much.
You're a cook. You're cooking somebody else's food. The definition of a chef is when you start doing your own thing, when you start doing your own food.
Yeah.
And and for the record, there's no shame in being a good cook. Just like there's no shame in being able to do a really, really tasty brisket on an electric smoker. It's just different.
And
It's different. You look at a place like here in North Carolina. Um, I don't know if you've heard of Skyline Barbecue.
I have. Yeah.
Okay, they're out in Aden, North Carolina.
I I think I have because
And
the
so
line part gets me. But go ahead.
I think it's Skyline. Now you got me guessing myself.
You're probably right. So you're probably right.
I might be wrong. No, Skylight. You're right. It's Skylight.
Right.
It's the Skylight Inn that's out in Aden, North Carolina. These guys have been doing barbecue since 1947
Yeesh.
in the same location, and they do nothing but whole hog barbecue. Um, Shortly after my daughter was born, a buddy of mine and I got on motorcycles because my wife was off of work and he had the day off of work, so I could leave the baby with her, and we hopped on motorcycles and drove. I mean, in a car, it's like a 2 hour drive, but on a motorcycle, who takes the straight route? So, it took us like 4.5 hours to get there. But we literally pulled up, and when I say this place is old school, we walked in to get a big sign on the door that says, "We take no credit cards or checks. The
Hmm.
ATM is 2 blocks down the road on the right." And we literally put our helmets back on, went down the road, went to the ATM to get cash. When we walked in, they didn't have a cash register. They had a gallon mayonnaise jar, which is where they put the 20s and higher. And then they
Uh-huh.
literally had the little red and white, like condiment, the little French fry trays.
Yeah.
They
With
had the red and
change.
white French fry trays lined up. One was tens, one was fives, one was ones, and then they had the change. Out in the open where everybody could see it. I mean, just old, old school. But let me tell
Wow.
you, it was some of the best barbecue in the world.
And they were
It,
always busy. They were
oh, yeah.
busy, huh?
They do nothing but whole hog. When they open the door, they offer the whole hog barbecue plate, or you can do what they call a bag of ribs, where they just take the rib bones and whatever meat is left in them and shove them in a bag. And it's a bag that's like this big. I mean, it's obscene how big the bag is. And they sell those until they run out, which is generally about an hour after they open. They're out of bones. And they sell barbecue, and usually by around 2 in the afternoon, they switch the sign to close because they've run out of food. Because it's barbecue. You can't just like whip out another whole hog. This has to
Once,
cook overnight.
once it's gone, it's gone. And I love that. I mean, here again, one of the things one of the things I've learned as I've gotten older, and when I really found out that during my graphic design years, I mean, I was really, I was really a poser per se, and I didn't do what, if I said that was going to be my craft, I didn't study it at all. You know, um, when I start, I've always had a passion for barbecue. I mean, my dad, he was, it wasn't like, families down south where we could have the space to do hogs and do, I mean, it was suburban backyards. They wasn't going to have that. But we always had, he was grilling. I always remember there was always a daily process of, or always the night before, they would, the ribs, and we would, here again, it was hot and fast. Nobody knew, I don't know if anybody knew, but we didn't do the smoking. And my father had a 55-gallon drum and cut it to be a grill. So, we would get it tender, soak it in vinegar overnight.
Mm-hmm.
And then, rinse it off real good in the morning, season it up, let it sit, let it sit in those seasons. So by the time the afternoon came, when the people started coming, we could throw it on the grill. And, on that grill was ribs and chicken and hot dog and hamburger. I mean, just a total good rotation. And my father out there sweating with his sweat towel, those, and his tongue is just flipping it over. But didn't just anybody, you know what I'm saying, get on the grill at the time when you're at your cookout. So
Oh no,
I
that was
always,
yeah.
yeah, I always wanted to emulate that, especially when I wanted to grow up, have a family, the 2.5 picket fence, the house and the dog and everything, and um, do that for my family as well. So it turns out I did, attempt. I burned a lot of food in the beginning. I attempted, but then I started to learn a little bit more and do more, and something clicked. A different type of passion clicked in. So, you know, getting cable TV, you starting to see some shows or people are doing more with barbecue. I'm like, low and slow. Flavor profiles. What is this? What is this witchery? You speak of on this television tube. So from there, started with different. It was just the basics with me. I used some paprika, some little, little. I mean, seasoned salt. It was on everything, of course. Seasoned salt
Oh
was on
yeah.
everything. Little garlic, little pepper, whatever. But then I started adding more, and then some sweetness and these, and you start doctoring open pit. Make a little your sauce like kind of you want to, and you start to experiment. I went down the rabbit hole, and then I'm like, okay, it's this is barbecue. I've always known it, but I'm learning something new. And as I got older, just trying to learn a little bit where barbecue came from, what it did. Um, I found out I was looking for black pitmasters. I can't think of what it was. Because one thing, in my day and age now, I'm all about representation of my people. When I say my people, people are darker hue. I mean, we are all human.
Yeah.
Um, we all haven't been treated as human. So,
That is
uh,
absolutely true.
differences. So I started looking for black pitmasters or famous black pitmasters because I wanted to go to a school for by one,
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then there was this article I read or I saw when I was looking up. It was talking about, the most influential pitmasters. And I was like, okay, let's look at it. But it was a Fox article. And this is back in 2015, but I wasn't, I was just looking on the internet for this stuff. And they had like 12 of them. Nobody looked like me, and those are like two women. So, and there your
They didn't even
com-
have Rodney Scott on there.
no.
That's shocking.
But Rodney is just new. I mean, he's not new. He obviously, if you
He's
know,
been doing it a while. His fame is new.
but but there are so many, and that's the point. So they had the Tuffy Stones, the Myrons, uh, what's the name from Snow's Barbecue? She was there too. I can't think. I don't think it's Tootsie, but I can't remember her name. I apologize. Um, those type of household names, and really Snow's Barbecue. She didn't really get household until an article out in Dallas or something. But you know, so it was like, come on. I mean, is this it? And then when I kept researching, I found an article that kind of, I always called it a clapback article, but it was from Southern Living. It was just of the same year. And it was like, no disrespect, but this is our list. Now, their list necessarily didn't comprise of current people. Their list was like, okay, you had yours most influential barbecue or, pitmasters or whatever. These are who we believe are the most influential to barbecue as the culture all together. And the first one they had was, they called them the unknowns. And they talked about how obviously the craft basically got curated by us and out of slavery, how it was one of the main things that we did outside after the Civil War during Reconstruction. But there's not a lot of paperwork about us or filings or any histories, a lot of written, there are a lot of things for us with oral. So their point was, and this is the line that got me, there was like, we don't know who they are, but we know they were there. So they called them the unknown barbecue cooks. And I'm like, wow, I like that. So that was the basis of the group, the Unknowns Black Pitmasters, because I wanted to help or I wanted to have a place where we could learn history, a place where we could have a open forum to ourselves. If we needed help, somebody could help us. If we had a question, so all this, I wanted to have a group of OGs that's there that can help us young folks come through, young in the business and doing the craft. And sure, share your pictures and all that too. So I started the Facebook group, and this is private. You can only get there if you look like me. And I mean, it can't be as cute. I mean, nobody can be as handsome as me. If you're of a darker hue, then sure, you can go. And it was close. And I got a little flack about it when some people found out about it. And I denied them. I said, well, I've been denied for a whole bunch of less, So, but it is what it is. It was something for. I wanted a place for us to really be able to help each other out. Then I thought, okay, well, we get a chance to talk to a lot of good people, or some of the articles that we share or people share, those should be seen. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. It's like, okay, we talked about this, we had our thoughts on it, so let me just share it to the world now. So, or at least the internet webs that we have. So I started the IG page and, started whatever was, different people in barbecue, Matt Horn out in Oakland. You had Brian Furman down in Atlanta, Kevin Blesso, so many other people that I, put features on, or Jonathan Barbecue out in Phoenix. Like if they got recognized for something, I would put the link up or something. And then Food Network had their Barbecue Brawl, their season 2. And a lady that I follow, who I think is, I love her. She's never denied me a question, which I appreciate. Erica Blair Roby, she's Blue Smoke Blair on the internet, and she actually did some good things at Memphis in May. And if you know anything about Memphis, at barbecue, Memphis in May is like the world championships of barbecue, and she was tied for first place. It was a 4-place tie, and and this was in ribs. So, in the 4th place, in the tie, you get a flip of a coin. So the 2 flips of a coin got her from 1st to 4th, but she all tied for first. I asked her, I said, I don't know if you're going, so I saw she was on the show. And plus she's from Dayton, Ohio, close to Dayton, Ohio. And I was like, look, I live up in Cleveland. I got this page. You kind of already know what it is. If you can, I don't know if you can contractually, if I can just talk to you about it after it's over, not knowing that she won.
Right.
It was like mid-season during that point. Could you do that?
The experience of being able to be on that national stage is an amazing thing in and of itself.
Yep. And she was like, sure, just let me know I'll let you know what I can do. And yeah, we'll talk. So that was my first discussion that we had, IG discussion. And from there, I'm like, ooh, maybe I can do another one. Ooh, maybe I can do another one. So, and I was home at that time. It was the end of 2021. So the latter quarter of 2021, I did one on a weekly basis because I was out of work, because of my shoulder. I had a shoulder surgery for my rotator cuff. So I was out of work, so I had the time. Um, and I thought that I thought it was going to stop when I got back, but, the community started to grow. I was starting to see so many more people. So right now, I mean, it would seem to be a small collection, but we got nearly to 30, almost 30, if not a little more, um, discussions with Black barbecue enthusiasts telling their stories. There's no other place you can find that big of a collection and go to hear people's stories, how they started, the pitfalls, and what went up, and that's all I really wanted for this whole platform outside of garnishing the history of where barbecue it came from, knowing the craft, um, making our ancestors proud, but then making people that you don't know about that you know about. So if you're in Atlanta, oh man, let me look up Keeper's Kitchen because they may have a pop up today. We got Rasheed Phillips. I know he's always doing something. Let's where maybe he's around. And oh yeah, JL the Pitmaster. I'm out in Phoenix.
Well,
Every summer.
I was about to say you got somebody in Phoenix. That's where Home Dad Con is going to be in October. So
Yep,
you need to shoot me his name because there's going to be a host of dads sitting there that
that's gonna be
most
on.
of us never turn down some good smoked meat.
There's a couple. We got Phil the Grill, a Trap House Barbecue. He's right next to the airport, so if somebody comes out of the airport and wants some barbecue, they can just hop on over to his restaurant. He also just took fourth place in pulled pork at Memphis in May. He's a
Dang.
he's a New Yorker, went out west, and his favorite profiles are really eclectic because he grew up with, New York is a melting pot, so you have so many different flavors, so many different ways of cooking things, and all those different spices and that he grew up with. Compiled that together to make some great dishes. So you get those two. You got Jonathan Barbecue. Those are the ones that I know permanent. I mean, that stick out. But Jonathan Barbecue does. Um, he has a nonprofit called Smoke and Hope, and basically the man feeds food with barbecue. He fixes barbecue and he goes feeds the homeless down in Phoenix and downtown and everything.
Beautiful.
He builds his community, and it's all about great cookout and doing great, giving great vibes and great people. And I would I don't JL and Trap House. I'm sure, or maybe somebody who y'all can go visit or cater or something. Jonathan is more so he's giving up to the people, saying,
Yeah.
but they're all doing great things. And the one thing, especially JL, if you all go to, it's the unknowns with the S, Black Pitmasters with an S. Um, and on the back page, the play page of IG, they're all recorded. JL the Pitmaster. If ever I can put into words what I wanted the unknowns Black Pitmasters to be, he oh my God, he had us all, it wasn't a dry eye in the house, okay, in the room. Um, because he stood on his coming from the foundation is all about ancestors did it for us. I'm on their backs. We got to continue to do it for them and continue to do it the way that they did it, it was created. So his claim to fame on that was like, if it ain't wood, ain't no. If it ain't cooked with wood, ain't no good. you know. So he's just straight up old school, and it's wonderful getting a chance to meet and share these stories with people. So we're going to expand to, that's why I kind of asked you about this platform. There's like StreamYard, they don't really have things that can go. I would love to do it a lot more polished than just the IG Live,
Yeah.
but nothing that.
I can tell you that currently this particular platform that I use, which is Blue Jeans,
Mhm.
I use them mostly because they have incredible sound quality, but also their network is really stable. But
Yeah.
currently, the only place that you can live stream to is Facebook. Now, once you do it and record it, you can then upload it to whichever platform you feel like. But
Yeah.
that doesn't help you in a live situation.
No, and that's and that's IG's fault. You would think that they would want to integrate without doing the Yellowbird thing and going through all this rigmarole to try to fix it, and then you don't get the comments. You think they would want to play nice, but maybe not. But then more people
Well,
would
I
probably.
can say your Instagram page. I've been following you now for about a year, very quietly in the background, because again, I got a lot of respect for the fact that this is not my space. This
Mhm,
is not this is not a place for my side of the people.
mhm.
My space, my place in that venue is to be quiet and learn, and there's nothing wrong with that. But like I'm not looking to interject my opinions or anything because that's not what it's there for. Now, I will ask a couple of your opinions because I'm going to get a hard time if I don't actually give some guys some concrete tips here. Um, now, I'm not familiar with Ohio. Does Ohio have its own distinct style of barbecue that you do, or is it an amalgamation of other styles, or what?
It is eclectic of what we have around us. There is, where, say Memphis or Kansas City, which by the way was Kansas City style of barbecue that we know today was invented, or I guess brought to that particular time by the name of Henry Perry, a black guy. It was his type of cooking that he learned that became popular, and now is what we know as Kansas City barbecue. And that's all I ask people to know. Just know that you can
Mm-hmm.
be I'm Kansas City, but just know where it come from, and don't squash that fact. But we're very eclectic. I mean, um, we have a lot of different flavors around us. We got Tennessee right below us. Naturally, we got the South not too far from us that has come up. All ours are, you have that great migration from the South. So a lot of those things still just came up with you. It's just how things are particularly done that change. Obviously, you went from big back, huge, or yards where you can build a pit to your corner lot or a concrete jungle. You know what I'm saying? So you had to
Mm-hmm.
use what was given. So it was a Weber or a barrel like my father had, or something. But no, it's no particular thing. Um, Everybody has a little bit of everything. I mean, mine is a dry rub type. I still kind of keep some of the traditional flavors, but I like a sweeter, savory, more type of barbecue. But then you have, like, we have Iron Chef here. What he considers barbecue, Cleveland barbecue. I don't, but they have his cultures, um, seasonings and ways of cooking it. So here again, even within, and it's that way with a lot of people. A
Right.
lot of cities, they have their own, from their own upbringing, from their own, you know, uh, growing up with different specific seasons to their culture that becomes their barbecue. So it's not like, when you Cleveland obviously or New York or anywhere else, if it's not Memphis, if it's not Texas, if it's not Carolina, if it's not Kansas City, you know, you're just kind of doing your own thing per se. But it's a
Sure.
mix of all of that. Um, and then your own flair as well. That's the one thing about barbecue, like cooking. Do what you want, dude.
Mm-hmm.
Do the people around you and your community happy. If they like it, keep on doing
Then you're doing it right.
it. Absolutely.
Now, do you have a particular type of wood that you use for your smoke flavors, or one that you return to regularly?
Apple. I'm a huge
Apple.
apple. I,
Okay.
'Cause I first started out with ribs. That's the thing that I sent and perfected. Well, it's still a work in progress, but to the rub now that I have that I use, it can be used all purpose, but it was specifically for my ribs, you
Mm-hmm.
know. Um, and that's where we started Carter Barbecue from, just doing rib dinners, just that's what it was. So, um, but yeah, apple, a lot of fruitier. The roots go well with pork; it absorbs it better. But I've always liked what apple produced for me. And I still even use it with my brisket and whatever else I cook with chicken. It don't matter. mostly. Sometimes I go to an oak. Oak is always good because apple is very hard to find here in my neck of the woods.
Really?
But
Okay.
yeah, thankfully though, especially now with all these transportation issues and then still getting out of COVID with all that, it's still a little difficult. But I mean, I'm waiting on the guy now who told me he had some. Now he's not returning my calls, and I got
Oh,
one. I got like four or five bushels left. Was going to be gone this weekend, so I need to
right.
figure out something. um,
So like
yeah. So
I grew up in New Orleans, and in
mm,
New Orleans, we used pecan wood because
which
it
is
was what we had. We had a lot of pecan trees.
you use what you have,
I mean, so we
but
used a lot of pecan. So when I use pecan primarily if I'm doing anything that's beef, whether it's brisket or ribs or, whether I'm smoking a rib roast or whatever. Um, Now when it comes to pork, kind of like you, I go on the fruit side and tend to spend a little bit more time with apple or cherry.
yeah,
I tried peach, wasn't overly impressed. It just didn't bring a whole lot to the equation. I mean, it was just kind of like smoke.
it's okay depending on what you use it for. And I'm not like a mesquite guy either because it's so or hickory is okay, but
Mesquite
they're
is just
so
so
heavy, very heavy.
it's almost like creosote. It's got that like almost chemically flavor if you use a tiny bit too much.
Yeah. And it
Uh,
can you can if you let your fire go down too much and you start to get that white smoke, your food is over.
yeah.
It's over. So it's one of those ones that you really have to pay attention to. But I never I don't like smoking with it, but I would live fire
Oh
grilling
yeah,
with it.
because it burns hot as anything.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was cursed. I was cursed with mesquite. While my wife was in medical school, we were living in Dallas, Texas, and I took a job as a chef at a golf country club.
Hmm.
And every time I'd want to order wood to barbecue, the president of the country club would argue with me because they had mesquite trees all over the golf course. So I had an unlimited supply of free mesquite, and
Free,
it's just like,
free.
right, and that's it, free. And it's just like, but I just want to spend money to get wood that tastes better, please. And I lost most of those fights. So at this point, I'm kind of anti-mesquite in general.
I do understand. I understand.
Now, have you worked with maple at all?
No, I have never worked with maple.
Okay, because I recently, in the last couple of years, have begun using maple, but in very specific cases. I use
Okay.
maple mostly to smoke pastrami.
Oh, okay. All right.
Where you've already got that cured flavor, all the cured flavors of pastrami in it. The maple brings a little bit of sweetness to it that I think complements that like incredibly salty flavor that you get from a good pastrami.
Yeah. Yeah.
But not so
Huh.
much with the other things I've tried. But if you get the chance, it's worth playing with.
How easy is it for you to get maple though?
For me, it's relatively easy because I'm not looking for big bushels and chunks. I'm buying bags at the hardware store
I
of
got you.
little
Yeah.
wood chips,
See,
which
that's
opens up a lot of possibilities. I can
yeah.
walk into my local Ace Hardware,
And
and
just get a
on
bag.
any given day, they've got apple, cherry, peach, hickory, mesquite, oak, maple, pecan, in those little bags. Now, those little bags do nothing for you at the
No.
volume you're using.
That's what got me messed up because I started out on smaller things. Pit barrels. I have a char griller acorn, and they're charcoal, but I would use wood chunks.
Hmm.
Um, I can't think of where it was where I had the apple flavor, which made me start using the apple chunks. They're plentiful, like you said. I could bunch of little chunks in a big bag. They'll last me a long time doing what I was doing because it was still mostly charcoal burn.
Hmm.
Um, so people are used to that taste, in my meat, and it's like, okay, now, you know, doing when the game got elevated, I'm like, oh, I gotta find a bunch of apple, and then
And you
I
can't
didn't.
change.
Yeah. I had a guy, and he still does it. But it was like $25. Basically, whatever you fill in the wheelbarrow, it's $25.
Mm-hmm.
Get a whole bunch of wheelbarrow, and those logs are just about like split, like maybe this thick and just about that long, which are
Mm-hmm.
really they're starters for me now.
Mm-hmm.
They did good because it was cheaper for me to do that than to buy a whole bunch of bags. I saw it in half, put it down in the pit barrel or whatever. I'm good to go. I can't use those. I mean, my rig could just. I mean, it'll eat them up like you on a hot day and you got an ice cold thing of water. You just drink it down, it's
Mm-hmm.
gone. So I need the actual bigger chunks of wood to get wood splits, and it's been very difficult. I've been making it. It's very difficult, but it's even driving me business wise to have to possibly. I mean, oak would be my second. Um, try to find something. Um, another type because oak I can get a lot easier here now than I can apple, and or trying to find somebody that will give me unseasoned wood, and I can just really try to stock up in my little backyard, and
And just
get,
let
get
it season for a year or so.
yeah, yeah. So you know, this is going to be an ongoing thing. That would probably be the best for me because it's cheaper. They would just give me they'll just give me the cut rolls. I'll chop them up. A little labor don't hurt nobody. Plus, you can just get a wood chopper from Home Depot. You ain't got to do that much. A wood splitter.
Well, I was gonna say how. I mean, you got a son, right?
He's six. He's
Okay,
six.
no, no, he can't chop wood yet. You can't put him to
Not
work
yet.
yet. Okay.
Not yet. He'll swing that axe the wrong way, and we'll be at the ER. So in time,
Nobody
though,
needs nobody needs kids with axes.
no, in time. So
Now, now for the guys who are starting out at home, the guys who like the rest of us, have all eaten barbecue, whether it's at a barbecue restaurant or honestly some of the best barbecue I've ever had I bought out of a church parking lot somewhere. Usually driving past, saw the big line and thought they got something good. Let me go back. It's
yeah,
either going to be good barbecue or really good fried fish, one of the two. Um,
yes,
and I'll never turn down a good church parking lot meal, and the money's going to a good cause usually as well.
yeah.
Um, but the fact is, for the guys that are starting out, who have just that like Weber, what
Mhm.
advice do you have for them? I mean, because my dad used to slow cook a brisket flat over like 8 hours on a Weber. He was Texas born, so brisket was all he cared about.
Yeah, we, yeah. Texas, I love Texas. Got some great friends in Texas. Um, the hype is somewhat warranted, um, but they're not the mecca of barbecue. So
No.
they're not. But they produce good barbecue. So first of all, if they got a Weber, they're doing good. A Weber kettle is one of the most versatile. I mean, you could do many things on different um, different grills type sets. Even the black and red box ones that you get from big box marts. I don't know if I had one of those. It didn't stay red on top very long.
Yeah.
Everything was all like I said. I burned meat, a lot of meat. But Weber is very good, and they do have a lot of ways of cooking things now. You can do the two zone grilling and smoking. You know, they got the Vortex. They have so many other different things that you can do and change the Weber up that you can do almost anything. Obviously, not as you can't do 50, two or three briskets at a time, but you could do a good 15, 20, good trim 20. You don't want
Yeah.
to, but get a 15 pounder with it trimmed and boom, you can do it. With the snake method is good. And what people don't know, if you know, don't know the snake method, it works very good with the Weber. Um, if you have your charcoal, your briquettes are better than lump wood when you're doing the snake method because they burn evenly. Um, Now I am a Kingsford dude. I mean, my father used Kingsford. I use Kingsford. But there are some other group. They're very. I mean, you got the good charcoal company that's good. Well, they do a lot of lump. I don't know about their briskets. B&B is a very good quality. um, they burn hotter, longer. Not a lot of ash. So whichever you do, you got options. But in the Weber, it's basically you're stacking two rows, and you got a row on the bottom and a row on the top, and it's going probably 3/4 away around your Weber. And then in the beginning, like every 4 or 5 coals, you put your wood chunks, because after a while, it's only going to take so much smoke anyway. Your meat is not going to absorb smoke all the way through the cook. You light up a few, about 10 or less briquettes, put it on the top, and then just let that slowly burn. You have to figure out your way of how you want to set the vents. You don't want to have them all open all the way, because vent management is good. The more, obviously, with fire, the more air, the hotter and the faster it'll burn. Choke it off some, the slower it'll burn. Um, so with the wetter cabo band, you could do anything, but I would start out, if you want to do if you want to do smoking for the first time, or something that you don't want to spend a lot of money for, and maybe possibly mess up, is a pork shoulder, a pork butt. A very forgiving piece of meat. You can get them 10 pounds or less, 6 pound, 5 pounds. Here you do your 2 zone cooking. You got your charcoal on one side, light that baby up, let it go. Put the pork butt with a little foil pan underneath it with apple juice. Let that go, let it go, and then wait for it. You can put the thermometers in it, the thermal pins or whatever that keeps the thermal, but let it go, man. Let it ride till you get to 160 or 165, 160 to 170. Do that. Wrap it up. I mean, if it's easy just to wrap it in foil, then just wrap it in foil. If you got a foil pan, just cover it. If you got butcher paper, that's fine. If you don't, wrap it up in foil. Let that puppy continue to go until you get to, it's usually around 200, but sometimes depending on the meat, it could be 199 or whatever. But when you poke everywhere and it just slides in without resistance, as they say, like a hot butter, like you putting a spoon through hot butter, then you're good. Let it take it out. Let it rest I would say at least 45 minutes at the minimum. But at least 45 minutes, and dude, you could be like everybody else on IG and TikTok and everything. They showing their little things where they take out the bone and it just comes out clean. You can do that too, because that is one of them. That is the best way to start in that process, because you're learning your temperatures, you're learning how your vents work, you're learning how to keep it low and slow. It's a process, and take notes on your things, because you can't do the same thing on a cold rainy day that you can do on a hot day. That all that changes how long and your cooks will be. But yeah, and you'll be I'm telling you, be the highlight of the cookout.
And I will tell you, for anybody who's looking at pork shoulder, in addition to it being very forgiving, it is also really affordable.
Yes,
Um,
it's probably
you
the
know,
most affordable at this point in time.
I mean, even at the high end, you're probably still looking at less than $3 a pound. Um,
Absolutely.
and if you're like me, my local grocery store here in town is called Harris Teeter, and
Uh-huh.
they're owned by Kroger. They regularly throw out a sale, and I think it was 3 months ago that they put out in the sale paper that they were throwing the whole pork shoulders out there, bone in, for 49 cents a pound,
What?
and it was limit 5. So
Oh, I,
for 7 straight days, I walked in there, bought 5, went home. The next day, bought 5, came home. I got a
I would have
freezer full of
me.
them downstairs.
I would have me. It's my wife, my daughter. We just all go at a different time. Cause you're
Well,
right,
see,
man. You
because
are
I
right.
use a lot of pork shoulder because I make all of my own sausage and salamis, and I do a lot of my own dry cured sausages. And in addition to being great for barbecue, pork shoulder also has the perfect ratio for sausage already.
Mm.
Like most sausage recipes will tell you that you want 80% lean meat and 20% fat.
Yeah.
And oddly enough, most pork shoulders are right around that 80-20 mix. You might have a lean one that might be like 83-17, or a really fatty one, but plus or minus a couple percentage points, you've already got everything you need for a good ratio of sausage. So you can just grind that whole and not have to weigh out two different kinds of meat. Just a lazy man's trick they taught me in culinary school.
but see, that's the one thing I have not gotten into. I don't do sausages yet. Look, when you think of barbecue, you think of like a turkey breast. You think of obviously brisket, pulled pork, and some type of sausage. Um, I was never too hype on the sausage tip, but I would love to do it. And me, first I'm gonna have to find something I want to buy, to have some type of thing and get the flavor. But then I like making it. I like the product. Like I have my own sauce and I have a rub and a seasoning. I like that process. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So, shoot, I got my little what's the name up there? The little KitchenAid. Got my little sausage
Mm-hmm.
and everything, and just get a chance to do something. I want to do some of that.
The KitchenAid's a good place to start. The only problem that I run into with the KitchenAid as far as their sausage is that it still runs it through the machine to stuff it into the casing.
Yeah.
And heat is the enemy of all sausage. You want to keep that stuff as cold as possible. Otherwise, the fat melts, and you end up getting something called fat smear, where you ever cut into a piece of sausage, and instead of being like all nice and tight, it's kind of grainy and oily.
Yeah,
That's fat smear.
Okay, so and then because right up to the top is where their motor in this it is, so it's kind of passing through that. And I feel you.
So like I have a machine at home that's a tube that's about this big by about this tall, and it holds around 5 pounds or so of meat, and it has a hand crank on the side, and you crank it, and it pushes down a plunger that pushes it out the side of the tube.
Okay.
But it's all done by hand, so you can do it in a cold kitchen. Take the sausage right out the fridge, put it in the thing, pipe it all out, put it right back in the fridge to keep it cold.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, doing the kind of volume that you would have to do for a restaurant, you would never be able to use that KitchenAid.
Oh no, this would be a learning process.
And that's a great way to learn. But yeah, when you're ready to start looking at the sausage stuff, hit me up. I know a great company based out of I think they're in Buffalo, New York.
Okay.
Called the Sausage Maker. They have any kind of sausage making equipment you would want. Most of it is all American made.
Mm-hmm.
And they've got everything from the books to the sausage stuffers to the casings to everything. So but again, kind of like barbecue, that's a whole rabbit hole that will take you away from.
And I everybody has their thing, man, and everybody's not going to go as deep as I did. Everybody's not care about it as much as I do, and that's with any craft and with any cook, with any painter. You can have somebody. I had a friend who used to paint for a living. I mean, I was like, dude, I'm just splattering paint on here, and he had lights and he's looking in every angle and make sure it's even. And this, I'm like, what are you doing, dude? He's like, this is what I do. What do you mean, what I do? I'm just like, as long as it look decent, you know what I'm saying? Just let me cover the wall. I don't care. But I mean, so it's everybody's not going to do it that way, and I don't fault people because this is how I feel about it. Now if you say you feel about it the way I do, then I expect more. You know what I mean?
I got that. No, I get that completely. Yeah. And again, kind of like you said, the way that you get into it, you make your own spice blends. You do everything with just wood and fire, the way that the ancestors did it. You're not the kind of guy who's going to turn around and be like, let me just go buy sausage from this supplier, and then I'm going to sell it with my barbecue. That's not the way that you're going to do it, just based on what I know about you. But yeah, so now other than that, now you were talking about the wood chunks. Now I know when I go to buy wood at my local hardware store, they've got two different shelves. One of them is wood chunks that are about like this, and one of them's like the little shaved wood chips.
Yeah. Now.
Right. Now, I know that my smoker uses those little piddly wood chips in a little metal bowl that sits over like an electric burner like you have on a crappy stove.
Yeah.
Like it sits there and monitors all the temp and just, slowly heats them up to get the wood. But that's not what you would use on like a Weber or a kettle grill or something like that. You'd be using the wood chunks.
Using the wood chunks, pit barrels, any barrel grill, char griller grill, any charcoal, Weber or anything like that. I would use the chunks. Now, though, if you have, and people do, if you have a propane grill, you could get those wood chips and get what they call a smoke box. Put those in there. Sometimes people want to soak, sometimes they don't, and put them over a flame, and that gives you smoke in a propane grill. Not as heavy, but it does give you a hint of smoke flavor. Or if you want, if you buy the chips, like I said, some of them say that you need to smoke them, some of them you don't. You get a foil pouch. Just get a foil, line them up in the foil, tint it up, leave the two sides open, open, and then again, put that on top of one of the flames or in the back or a corner near a flame. And as that heats up, that will also give you a smoke flavor. So even with the propane or a gas grill, you can have that. It's not as heavy a lot of times, but you can have that smoke flavor as well. And you can even do zoning for that too. So if you want to do a low and slow, you would have, let's say on your right side, you would have that on high or medium. That's where you would have your smoke packet, and you could put your pork butt on the left side of the grill, where the other two, because they usually have like three eyes. So turn the left two off, keep the one on the right going on. Get your things about 250 degrees, or if you can get it to higher 300, maybe do hot and fast or whatever. And then just put that on the second, so you can still have a semblance of a low and slow cook with some smoke, and the chemistry should give you a decent smoke ring, or at least a nice one. That's about the presentation, not necessarily the flavor, but it's about the presentation. And boom, you can do that too. But it is propane gas. But hey, who am I to argue with King of the Hill? Who am I?
Well, and I mean, again, everybody's got to work with what they have to work with.
Absolutely.
I mean, if some guy's sitting at home right now and all he has is a propane grill, but he really wants to try this, I'm not saying you got to take your propane grill and throw it in the garage and go out and buy yourself a smoker. You can
still
try it out this way.
Uh-huh.
And then, if the bug bites you and you decide that, hey, wait, I really like this smoke flavor, then you can work your way up.
You'll grow. And then, because I always wanted to do a whole hog. I felt, to me, that's a true pit master. When you can cook whole animals, not just pieces, parts, So I built a small cinder block. If I really wanted to go back in the day, I should be digging, trenches in the ground, but I can't do that in my little, in our little suburban town. I got to get a country house. And if I ever do, I will. I would definitely do that. But so I built a small
little cinder block.
Yeah, did my first hog about a year ago. Well, yeah, somewhat about a year ago, maybe a little less. I tried to go to YouTube University, and I shouldn't have, because I had people I should have asked who've done this, like Howard Conyers, and some other people that I should have asked. I don't know why. I don't know, whatever I was doing. Dude, I almost burnt that thing up.
I'm going to guess it's pride, because that's what gets the best of me 9 times out of 10.
I'm like, oh, okay, I saw them build this. I didn't have enough wood. I was going to try to do a burn barrel. I didn't do it, but I saw people do it with some charcoal. I put way too much charcoal in there, and I lit it all too fast. I think that thing was almost like 500 to 550 degrees. I had a 63 pounder, so I had to pull her off. Because I thought, okay, I'm about to smother it. Put the tin roof on it and everything, but it just kept on climbing. And thankfully though, I had it at either side at the hams and the shoulder, so it wasn't, obviously all the way through. So we just poured her off, and I had to literally shovel coals out of there, out from underneath, and we finally got it, to a point where it was doable. Um, I had to cook her skin down. I mean, I had to cook her skin up. I mean, no, skin down for the rest of the cook, I think, which I didn't want to do, but I didn't want to char it any more than it was. But it didn't come out too bad. I must admit, it didn't come out too bad. I think I still got one of the hams in the freezer that I gotta get out. But yeah, man. I mean, it's that trial and error. But I bet you next time I do it, dude, it's gonna be amazing because I've learned so much since then. And I'm really
Well, I
itching to
mean,
do one in the fall.
you go out to you go out to the skylight, and I mean, it's literally a cinder block building, like painted white. A couple of windows. You walk inside. I mean, it's linoleum on the floor. Those Formica like chair
Yeah,
combination tables with
probably
the
they probably wiggle too. They probably
and
wiggle.
everything wiggles. But their smokehouse is around the back.
Hmm.
And I remember pulling up, looking at the smokehouse, and my first thought was, okay, they've been doing this since 47. The health department had to grandfather this thing in. They
Yes.
had to.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, they're doing 6, 8 pigs a night, like every day. And I mean, there's just there's pork fat just dripping down the walls because when you're doing that much pork, it don't matter how often you clean it, it's
It's
just
just
in the
daily.
air, it's everywhere. But
Daily.
it's truly amazing because they'll bring out the whole pig, and it'll look like this one behind me with the crispy skin like that,
Hmm.
and they have a guy that stands there behind the counter with 2 giant cleavers.
Yeah, just chopping it up.
And literally he has the fireproof mitts, but first he'll pull all the skin off, and
Hmm.
they put the crispy skin aside. He'll pull all the meat, then they break the skin up and mix it in with the meat, so that each bite of the meat you take,
So
you get those
you
crispy
got
crunch,
crunch with it.
you
Now,
get that
now
crunch
that
mixed in with
I
it.
haven't experienced that yet. I want to. I have not. I've heard about that. But they would do that, like you said, they will incorporate the skin with the chopped meat. Yep. Yep.
And it is fantastic. But I mean, again, you talk about a place that knows what they're doing. Their entire menu is, do you want pulled pork or do you want a pulled pork sandwich?
That's it.
For your sides, we have coleslaw and we have cornbread.
Hmm.
Your sandwich doesn't come with cornbread. Your plate comes with both. And again, it's Carolina, so they don't do a sauce. They do apple cider vinegar, usually with a little bit of red chili flake thrown in, but not a whole lot. And it took me a lot of adjusting to learn to appreciate that style of barbecue
Yeah.
because I grew up on sauced barbecue or like really heavily flavored dry rub,
Yeah.
and they use nothing but salt and pepper on the pig. It's salt, pepper, and smoke.
Hmm.
And it took me a while, but that vinegar, what it does is it just cuts through the fat,
Yeah.
almost like a vinaigrette dressing, so that literally all you taste is pork and smoke.
And that's what a lot of people with a vinegar base, they mop their whole hogs with that.
Mm-hmm.
One thing I didn't do, I didn't mop mine at all
Well,
until
at
later.
500 degrees, you probably couldn't get close enough to mop it.
So uh, it's people, like for instance, I got this burn here. Right?
Mm-hmm. I
That's
recognize
one,
that one.
and then I got a couple more. So this was for my new unit, right? And I've been thinking, I had a name I wanted to call her, but after she burned me like this, I think I'm gonna call her Burn Unit.
Mm-hmm.
One of my first, she'll call it Burn Unit. I think so. But it's one of those things where my wife was like, "How you gonna burn yourself?" I was like, "Do you know a bomb maker with all his fingers? You know what I'm saying? I mean, like the things that I can touch, the degree of heat I can touch now than where I used to. These things come through time, and barbecue is one of those things that you never really master, but you can get really, really good at. You know, but you keep like any craft. Hopefully, you keep evolving. You keep evolving, and that's what I hope that people get out of. Even in your grilling, just keep evolving. You know, you're going from
Now,
rib to pork butt, and then you do a brisket, then do then do a prime rib, and then do some beef ribs. You know what I'm saying? Just let
mhm.
your palate. Yeah,
Now you were saying that your style you use dry rubs
yeah. I don't
primarily.
serve my.
Now I know you have your own proprietary dry rub, so I'm not asking you to give nothing away. But for the guys who are starting out with dry rubs, what are the basics that you're throwing into a dry rub? I mean, obviously salt.
Yeah, I mean, you can start with the Holy Trinity to me, the SPG, salt, pepper, garlic. You know what I'm saying? Those are in a rub within itself. But then you have extra flavors that you can. When I say salt, I say kosher salt, not table salt. I say kosher salt. It's a big difference in when you use those. So salt, you get pepper, the big flake peppers, garlic. I use garlic, the granulated garlic, more so than the powder. And if you use garlic salt, you don't have to use too much of the other iodized salt. Um, but then you can expand from there. You got paprika, you got smoked paprika, you could use basil, you got cumin. You can put a little hot in there, some chilies. You can expand to those three. You can really expand to what you love for your palate. Like I said, I'm a little more sweet and savory, so I have a little brown sugar in mine. I
I
got a
would say I
little
generally put brown sugar in mine as well. I find it also helps it stick a little better.
yes. So you have that aspect as well, and um, so you can start off with that, and then just grow from there. The same thing, with briskets, or that's would be for me for pork. I mean, brisket is basically salt and pepper, garlic, and then maybe some paprika. You can have that. That's a good base. But then you can use some other things as well. You know what I'm saying? You can add just a little bit of cumin. You can add some seasoned salt. Seasoned salt really, and I found this out recently. Recently, seasoned salt really helps bring out the beef flavor in the brisket. Um, but just starting, use your Holy Trinity, which for me is like I said, salt, pepper, garlic, and then just add a little bit to it. Add a little bit of this, add a little bit of that, and see how you like it. And
Hmm.
then use it on some ribs. See how those ribs come out. You think, oh man, that was too sweet. Okay, that was too hot. Cut down, add a little bit more. So and the journey in that is wonderful because now you have a flavor profile that nobody else does because it's yours. So there nobody's going to taste that pulled pork or that rib like anybody else's because it's your own proprietary a mixture. You know what I'm saying? No matter, even if you use the same ingredients as somebody else, it's how much you use of that ingredient or how less that you know as a cook. We can use the same thing, but it don't always taste the same. It doesn't always taste the same. You have that, you have the flavor of your meat, you have the flavor of your seasoning, and you have the flavor of whatever wood that you chose. Those three right there changes the flavor of that meat tremendously from your next door neighbor and who's maybe doing one less seasoning and a different type of wood. Both of y'all's ribs don't taste different. And I don't mean that one is better than the other. They're probably going to be good, but it's your flavor. So, and that's where people in the world of barbecue, people like, so, I mean, like in Texas or other places where barbecue is big. I'm like, dude, we got a few barbecue joints out here. Why they say, why would you do barbecue? Because that's what I love and that's what I can do. I said, you got a McDonald's and a Burger King and a Wendy's on the same corner of every city. They all sell the same protein, hamburgers. They just all do it differently. And everybody has their, if they don't like McDonald's, they go to Wendy's. And if they don't like that, they go to Burger King. Everybody has their niche. So
Hmm.
it's enough for everybody. It's enough here for everybody. But
Now,
yeah.
we're getting pretty long on time here, but again, that's my fault because I'll talk barbecue and cooking all day long. So I got to stop myself. Couple of quick things. Number one, I love your unknowns Black Pitmasters.
Thank you.
Now, will you repeat your Instagram one more time so that everybody watching can go look this up and watch some of these reels because they really are fantastic.
It is, of course, at the unknowns with an S, Black Pitmasters with an S. So the unknowns Black Pitmasters. And you'll see our wonderful little logo. I just got a logo made for it. And what you'll find on that page are IG discussions and interviews with people that you may not have heard of. Some are, you watch Man Fire Food by chance? I got a chance to talk to Roger Mooking. He's actually
nice.
I got a chance to talk with him. Howard Conyers, Rasheed Phillips. He was on the Netflix. The Great American Barbecue Showdown. The first season he came in second place. Should have came in first, but things are the way they are. Him and a few other people locally, nationally. So it's a whole mixture. We got people that are doing barbecue pop-ups for a living, or on the side we got people who are just taking over the barbecue world. I got a friend of mine in Denver. His name is Aaron, Plates by the Pound, out there in Denver. He started doing the pandemic, selling out of his house, rib dinners, just delivering. Now he has a brick and mortar, and he's one of the best barbecue / restaurants, just restaurants in general, in the greater Denver area. So these are people that are doing some great things who need to be, who need to be noticed. Who needs to be noticed? So we have great conversations, and you'll never know, the whys behind what they do. You'd be surprised about some of the things. We had a guy, Sweetie's Barbecue. He was on a team with James Cruz. They have a popular KCBS team, and they went last year and they won first place last year in ribs in Memphis in May. And his story was, his father taught him. His father did pass away when he was young, but the last thing he was able to say to him, because he cooked him some ribs, was these were the best ribs he's ever tasted. So to continue to have that and to win ribs first place, Memphis in May. We all had a moment there, but he took that trophy, went by his graveside, just sat there, and he was like, I just sat there and talked to him, told him we did it. We did it. So barbecue has so many stories about community, about one's life, how they get in it. One guy just got in it just because it turned out to be a hustle. It was a hustle. He's been a hustler all his life. So, but then he found out this cooking thing, and it's like, boom, now he's exploding, So many different stories that we're able to, thankfully now, digitally categorize and keep, so we won't have to be like our ancestors in the point of after, Reconstruction, after the Civil War, things that they were doing, their stories still can be told on to our future generations. It won't be lost like, unfortunately theirs were. So yes, I would love for you all to come, and then IG page is for everybody. The IG page is for everybody. If you are a Black barbecue enthusiast, though, you can go to Facebook under the same name, The Unknowns Black Pitmasters, and then ask to join that group as well.
Okay, which was going to be my second question, is because I know that we do have some black dads who watch, and I want to make sure that they have access to what's out there for them. Honestly, Darren, on behalf of the National At Home Dad Network, thank you so much for your time. I really do appreciate this. Having spent enough time working in the food industry, I know how tired you are. I know that tired. I can honestly say I don't miss it. I don't.
Yeah, you didn't get the connection. From the National At Home Dad Network and City Dads. We all work in conjunction. I wish I could make it out there to finish. I was going to try. I think I was mad that I missed the Cincinnati one because I was right in my backyard.
It was in your backyard.
My backyard, but I can't remember. I don't think it was an arm I had an issue with. That was in 21, right? 21
yeah.
Or was it? Yeah, so it had to be my arm.
21. That was back around October, I think.
yeah, my arm stopped me from coming. But yeah, I would love to be out there in Phoenix with y'all. I mean, so I am before, before this 5 year period is over, I'm making me one or two. I'm going to get out there because, I mean, I love y'all guys. I mean, we all one big family there. Um, our connection for, with the City Dads group, with your group, and we all kind of still flow on each other's. You know what I'm
Hmm.
saying?
Always
So
have.
I never, never, never would say no to you all. Ever, never. Nope.
Well, I can promise you. Don't be afraid. I promise we'll be back in your neck of the woods eventually.
Good.
One of the things that we're trying to do right now is we're trying to target parts of the country that we haven't had the convention in before.
Yeah.
One of the things that drew us to Phoenix is we've actually never held the convention in the southwestern part of the United States ever. We've never been in Texas, New Mexico, Arizona, Southern California. The closest we came was Denver. And
Okay.
I wouldn't consider Denver the Southwest.
No.
We've never been in that part of the country before. And, being the National At-Home Dad Network, we need to serve all the different parts of the country. So we're starting to look into those areas where we haven't been. So you're going to start seeing us popping up around and, with the convention and away from some of the standard places that we've been doing a lot of.
Well, when I get the
So
time,
we hope to see you soon. And if we're close enough, I fully expect you to bring the truck with you.
dude, that's not. I tell people all the time. You can ask Greg Washington. I know you know Greg.
Oh yeah.
He came in my town and didn't tell me. So, but he made up for it. But if I'm available and you in my town, my kitchen is always open, dude.
Oh
If
yeah.
I find out, I will be. Look, I don't need a reason. I don't need a reason to throw something on the grill. You know what I'm saying? That just gives me what? Come to town? Okay. Let me get my stuff. Let's go. Let's roll.
The
Let's roll.
sun's up. Let's cook. No, I'm
Absolutely.
down.
Absolutely.
All
So
right.
absolutely. Really
Well,
appreciate it. Thank you so much.
hey, I'm glad to have you. And again, thank you for coming. Thank you for everybody who stuck it out and watched us, both those of you that were here live, as well as those who are going to be watching this on the replay later. We hope to see you again next month. We'll be announcing who the guest is for our August. Wow, yeah, our August webinar coming up soon. In the meantime, everybody have a good night and enjoy yourselves. And hey, go cook some barbecue.
Go do some smoke. Keep